Hey everybody, welcome to this week's show. You ever wonder how you can spot a deal on a DVC resale? Stay tuned and we'll tell you. Hey folks, welcome to this week's episode of the DVC Show, coming to you from the Bob Varley studio in Orlando, Florida. I'm your host, Pete Werner, joined via Skype this week by my good friends from the DVC Store, Mr. Jerry Saito.
Hello, everybody.
The man who is the hardest working man in DVC right now, between our Facebook group and our DVCfan.com website, Mr. Paul Krieger. I always want to mispronounce your last name. Paul Krieger. It's Krieger, not Krieger. And of course, our producer, Mr. Corey Fiescanaro.
Welcome home.
All right. So before we get started, folks, just a reminder, the show is brought to you by DVCstore.com. So if you are looking for a DVC resale contract, or if you're looking to sell, which apparently more people are right now, looking to sell your DVC contract, maybe upgrade to something, give them a call, 1-800-550-6493, or visit them on the web, dvcstore.com. So one of the questions that I see come up all the time is, how do I know if the price I'm seeing or the price I'm getting for my resale is a good price? So I asked Jerry to put together a list of, what the average price ranges are, because it varies depending on the resort and depending on the number of points in the contract. Obviously, smaller point contracts are going to be more expensive than larger point contracts in terms of the price per point. But also, other factors include things like, how many points are available when you buy it? Is it a stripped contract where you don't get points until next year? Or does it have, banked points from last year? So you get the contract and you get double points for that first year. All of that stuff is a factor. But generally speaking, there are ranges that these resorts and contracts should fall into. Now, don't worry if you don't remember everything we talk about, because we have created a page, dvcstore.com/prices, that will outline all of this stuff. So you just head over there and you can check that out. There'll be a link to that in the show notes page or the description right below this video. So Jerry, let's talk about some of these. Let me pull this up so I have it. So, the ones that go fast, right? And the ones you're less likely, I guess, to see a quote unquote deal on are these smaller point contracts, right?
Right. Yeah. They typically will sell right away. People don't care if they have extra points in them. They don't care. Typically, I guess the price is a factor, but they don't necessarily care that it's priced higher than everything else, because the demand for a small one is high and the limited supply of properties that hit the market is, it's limited. So when they see what they're looking for, it's a match on the use year, it's a good location, they're fine with just saying, you know what, that's what I want, let's move forward.
All right. So yeah, on the small point contract. So like I'm taking a look here. Obviously your best, the lowest prices you're going to find, this irrespective of contract size, going to be at Vero Beach and Hilton Head. But to kind of underscore what I said earlier, a smaller point contract at Vero Beach, for example, is going to run anywhere from $70 to $90 a point, whereas a larger contract, maybe let's say 150 points, is going to be between 55 and 65. So it's a little bit of a balancing act. It's a little bit of a balancing act with that. But where do you think we're most likely to see, which resorts would you say are most likely to see more aggressive pricing from people?
It's a great question. I think a lot has to do with that particular seller situation. There can be deals at Grand Floridian, there could be deals at Polynesian, Saratoga Springs. It just depends on if that listing looks good and it's appealing to you. The seller doesn't tell us, hey, I'm in a desperate situation, I got to let this go. What we do is we advise the seller, hey, this is what market value is, this is what the property should sell for. And then we post it. And the buyer then sees the property, calls us up and says, oh, I want to try an offer. So it's hard to really know, what that package is going to sell for, where the deal is going to be. But I would say if you do see something of interest, make that offer, see if the seller's going to accept or counter and give you a good counter offer, and then kind of go from there.
The reason I wanted to talk about this was because some of what, I see everything that you guys, everything you guys put out, right? Every contract that comes in, I see it. And I've been seeing some very good prices lately. Now, we've been talking over the last few months about how COVID is impacting the market. And we're based on a conversation you and I had, Jerry, you're starting to see more sellers, right? More people wanting to sell their contracts.
Yeah. So I actually had mentioned this to you. I was like, it's kind of the perfect storm right now for DVC buyers, sellers, and Disney not buying back packages, because there's sellers in the market who need to sell. There's buyers in the market looking for an opportunity to get a good deal, and then Disney's not buying back. So it's like the perfect storm for DVC right now if you wanted to buy something at a really good price. And not every package is selling for some crazy low price. It's not like some frenzy where, these things are going for, for a lot less than list price. But there are some sellers that will take an offer. And these are prices that we haven't seen for, a couple of years. So there's an opportunity out there.
I also, we should reiterate that, one of the things that you have in place are the text alerts. Right. We'll have a link to that too in the description, where, and especially with those smaller point contracts, because they go so fast, that's what you're in the market for. Sign up for a text alert. You can just decide what use, you can say what use here, what resort you want, and you'll only get texts when those particular contracts come up. But go ahead, Fiasca.
Just looking at the DVC store right now, I just wanted to take a look and see, as the recording of this video, it's possible that these won't be available by the time you watch it, but just some really good deals I'm looking at right now. Old Key West 50-point contract right there for $5,700. Old Key West 60-point contract. Old Key West 80-point contract. So there's some good low-point contracts.
Those are all relatively new. And you're probably right. They will be gone by the time this goes out. We're recording this on a Monday. This is going up the following Monday. I doubt those contracts will still be there. And I'm not in the market to buy right now. I'm not in the market, but I see some of these come across and I'm like, okay, that's good. That's good. But in order to know whether something is a deal, you really have to know what the general price range is. If you're seeing a good offer, and it's also, if you're going to make an offer, it's good information to have so that you're making a reasonable offer and not being stupid, because you get these people that say, oh, I'm going to offer you $60 a point on a, 50-point Polynesian contract. You're wasting everybody's time. But I'm seeing some come across. I'm like, especially those smaller point ones. And especially when they're in my use here and at a resort I already own at. I'm like, but I'm really
There is a little trick that is not like public knowledge, but I will share it with you. If you look at the last 4 digits of our ID numbers, so we have like an ID number, PV is like Polynesian, and then it says 100, which is 100 points. The middle numbers is the use year, but the last 4 digits, that's the day we list the property. So you can really get an idea, okay, how long's that listing been on the market? If it says like 0720, that means it listed today, 07 July, 20 the 20th. So if you see something that's been listed since March, that seller might be open to an offer. They've been on the market for a few months. New listings that just hit the market today might not, because they just listed today. So, little trick might help.
I've been staring at your contracts for a long time. How did I not know that? How did I not know that?
That's a dangerous secret.
Yeah, but it could be beneficial because, when a house goes on the market, you kind of know how long that house has been listed for. It gives you an idea. Okay, can I make an offer on that? Are they going to be more open than not? So I think it's good information for a buyer to know. how long is that listed for? And sometimes, it hasn't sold because a seller didn't accept an offer. I mean, we get offers often. So sometimes you can try an offer, but sometimes if it's been out there for a few months, the seller might not be very negotiable. So
See, this is why
it's hard.
I have a love-hate relationship with this show. This show has cost me so much money. Because when we started doing this show last February, I did not own DVC. It was doing this show that I ended up buying it. And I'm 1,200 points now or something like that. I forget. It's ridiculous. Plus, I'm not able to use a lot of my points this year because of COVID. So next year, it's like, let's have a party because I've got a lot of points I'm going to have to burn. But, we have these discussions and we talk about stuff like this. And I just start thinking to myself, but I can't. I can't right now. I just can't. It would be ridiculously irresponsible for me right now. More important to me, make sure I keep my guys employed right now than I buy DVC contracts. So that's where all my effort is going right now, to keep our staff employed during COVID on the travel side of things. And if you hear noises, it is the apocalypse here in Orlando right now. That's thunder
Florida summer
behind me.
Yeah,
Florida summer. Yeah.
I think a good thing to emphasize here is that purchasing a DVC is a negotiation. It's almost like buying a car or buying real estate, like Jerry said earlier. And we see a lot of people in the groups saying that they didn't know that they purchased at the list price, but there's some wiggle room in there, and you've got to be willing to throw an offer out there. Like Pete said, not something that's lowball and gonna waste everyone's time, but play the numbers game a little bit and be patient with the process. Don't say I want to be a DVC owner today and want a contract by tomorrow. That's be patient, look for a while.
Let me ask this, Jerry. I'm sorry, Jerry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I tell people that too. I mean, just because we don't have the listing today doesn't mean it's not going to be available. So give us a week, give us a month, it'll pop up. You're going to see the right, whether location, points, use year, whatever it is, get on those text alerts, because if you have a little patience and it's not available today, it will be available at some point. And then, to add to what you just said, as far as it is a negotiation, it is, but to a certain degree. I mean, there are people who are looking for something specific, and I always recommend making an offer, but sometimes things sell from underneath people because they made an offer and the seller's, not available. They don't get back to us, and then somebody else calls and buys it. So I'm not discouraging an offer. I'm just saying sometimes the desirable properties do sell very quickly, and I don't want people to lose a property if it's the right match, because they're trying an offer. Again, I'm not discouraging an offer. I just don't want you. I just want you to be aware.
We're seeing this, just in full disclosure, I'm a licensed real estate agent here in Florida, as is Paul, and Jerry's a broker. The only one who's not, Fiasco. But we're seeing this too, that because right now, in terms of buying homes in Florida, it is very, very much a seller's market. That means that there are fewer sellers than there are buyers. And actually, COVID has made that worse, because a lot of sellers pulled their homes off the market because they didn't want people traipsing through their house with God knows what diseases. So it actually has driven the prices up. And what you're seeing is you have these people that come in, and let's say a house is $300,000. And they come in and they say, okay, we're going to offer $260,000. And the seller's not even going to consider it. And by the time they can even make the counter, the house is already sold to somebody who is willing to pay full price. So that is, and that, I don't know if the market is as extremely unbalanced on the timeshare side as it is on the home side, where it's such an extreme seller's market here. Would you classify it as a seller's market right now, or is it becoming more balanced?
As far as the DVC, it's I think it's a balanced market right now. There again, I'm seeing deals that I haven't seen in a while. So it's kind of going into a buyer's market for those deals, but it's not every seller is dropping their price. So I'd say it's balanced, but I have seen some prices I haven't seen in a while. So I feel like it's actually a little bit of a buyer's market right now.
And I think part of that balance is the right of first refusal, which we should also talk about. We haven't seen Disney take a contract for a while. We may see them begin to look at them a little bit more closely, but they've always sort of been there to protect those lowball sales and protect the resale market a little bit.
Yeah.
They bought one back. Not yet. March 30th. I keep saying that on each show, but last buyback was March 30th, so it's been a little while.
Yeah, it's and honestly, I mean, nobody knows. Nobody knows what DVC is going to do. I don't know that situation is going to change in the next few months. Eventually, it will. Eventually, they're going to start buying back contracts. But right now, I just don't think they're in a position to. I just don't think they're in a position to. I don't think the demand is there for direct purchases through DVC right now. I think resale is seeing a big surge as a result of that. So, I mean, Jerry, what do you think? How much longer do you think that can last?
I think honestly, I think when COVID's a little bit more under control, that's probably when when things will kind of go back to normal with right of first refusal. I know they're working on a very limited staff. They're just trying to process contracts through. I think when COVID's less of a problem is when we'll start to see them buying back contracts. That's what I think.
I think one of the big things they have to watch is we know that direct sales are down. So when it comes to the resale market, if they're not keeping an eye on where those prices are, it's going to hurt direct sales even more, because if resale prices continue to drop, then people are going to turn their eye to resale. There's only so much value that is in buying direct. And if the resale price drops below that, then you're going to see everyone turning their eye to resale rather than direct.
Yeah, I mean, because right now, look, what are the big benefits for buying direct? You get the annual pass discount. Well, you have to make reservations to use it. So there's some value taken out of that. The Moonlight Magic events, the special parties in the parks, I don't think we're going to see those for a long time. Even once we are past COVID, they're going to have to deal with the financial fallout. DVC is the financial fallout of this. And are they going to be funneling money into events like that while they're trying to recover from the hit they just took? I don't think so. So yeah, there's much less of a reason to buy direct right now than there was 4 months ago. So, and I think that's also part of what you're seeing with this surge in the market. But it is starting to get interesting. So you got some good tips here. I think that tip that Jerry just gave you on how to tell how old the contract is brilliant. But again, dvcstore.com/prices. You can kind of see what the ranges are and all that good stuff. Link to that in the description right below this video. And that is going to do it for our show for this week, folks. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you again next week with another edition of the DVC Show. Have a great week, everybody.